Tanchjim Tanya. This is a $21 IEM bullet style, new kid on the block. How good do these sound and how do they compare to something like a Blon BL03? Is it worth the $29 to jump to BL03 or is $21 enough? In today's video, that's what we're gonna find out. Let's start with the unboxing. So here's the box for Tanchjim Tanya. As you can see here, got a picture of the IEM in front. It is a bullet style IEM, Tanchjim Tanya in the corner right here. And down here is a little quote, faithfully recreating the original sound. In the back here, you have more information on the IEM. Slide off the cover like so, which is kind of tight sometime. And you get this box that just says Tanchjim with the logo in front. Open the lid up to reveal the IEM sitting inside. As you can see here, the IEM sit right here. There's a Tanya name on the side here, and this is actually removable, and the box here that holds the carrying pouch for Tanya. Now, underneath the IEM and the boxes, you're gonna find extra tips and some manuals. Here's the close-up of the IEMs themselves. They're very small, super comfortable and lightweight, and I love the design on these. Very modern and just, yeah, nice and stylish looking. The cables themselves are non-detachable, but the cable quality is nice. Nothing to complain about at this price. Hey friends, Timmy, welcome back to Giz Audio. And first I'd like to say, as of filming this video, I'm at 98 subscribers. So thank you so much for getting me close to 100. Hopefully by the time this video goes up, or maybe a day after that, I'll be at 100. So thank you guys so much. I'm a new kid on the block, and I appreciate everyone who clicks subscribe, everyone who's comment. I reply to every single one of you. I just love this hobby, and you guys are making it fun for me, so thank you. So, Tanchjim Tanya, when I first heard about this one being released, I was super excited, of course, because it's $21, and the design of it looks pretty modern, looks really nice. I liked everything about it in the marketing, and I was just super excited to get it. And now that I got it in the mail, I tested it out for a few days. I gotta say, the first time I listened to these, I was pretty blown away. I was slightly bit blown away. Now, I'm not saying these are as good as Blon 03. Spoiler alert, Blon 03 is still better, but this does something magical in the mid-range. I'll explain as we go on this video. Female vocals, it just does something really, really good that excited me the first time I listened to it and excited me still even till today. But yes, with all that said, let's just jump into the sound breakdown, starting with the bass. Now the bass on these IEMs, sub-bass wise, is okay. You do feel a little bit of sub-bass. Not so much though. What you would feel a lot more is the mid-bass. The mid-bass does kind of have a little bit of a hump. A not so well controlled hump, if you will. It sounds slightly bit bloated at time, heavy, so that might turn some people off who are sensitive to that kind of like mid-bass boominess. But for me, I really don't mind it all too much. It does bleed into the mid-range just slightly. You'll notice it in male vocals especially. Male vocals that live in the lower range are especially affected by how much the mid-bass is here. It is powerful. I wouldn't say it's a bass head IEM in any way. I think it's almost there. It's just not quite there yet. But yeah, mid bass is powerful for this one. Sub bass is all right. It's not so well controlled, but we have to remember that it's $21. And for $21, I really can't complain too much about the bass. I'm just happy that it has enough bass to be enjoyable across pretty much all genres. On to the mid range, like I said again, male vocals, especially ones that lives in the lower range, for example, Frank Sinatra, those singers are not gonna sound too good on these IEMs. Not that they sound bad, but they don't sound ideal because of how much the mid bass kind of bleed into the lower mid range here. So male vocals that live in that lower range, not my favorite to listen to, but male vocals that lives in a higher range, Ed Sheeran, Bruno Mars, and all female vocals. All female vocals from Alicia Keys to Adele to someone living in the higher range like Ariana Grande or a lot of K-pop or Asian pop music, they all sound correct. Like they sound good. That was the thing that surprised me the most the first time I listened to these. So just a little bit of a story. When I first got these in the mail, I was listening to the Moondrop KXXS, which is another really well-tuned IEM, and I was really enjoying the KXXS. Then I switched over to the Tanya and my brain was like, something sounds similar here. Something sounds just as nice as the KXXS, and that was the female vocals. They just sound so good. Now, these are not anywhere near as detailed or as quality in a lot of other departments as the Moondrop IEM, but I'm just saying that the magical feeling of listening to a correct sounding female vocalist, these have that. So if your library consists of a lot of K-pop, Asian pop in general, you listen to a lot of female vocals, these are great. These are just great. And for $21, I recommend this all the way if your library is exactly that. And I know a lot of you guys have libraries like that. Even if you're listening to a lot of anime OSTs, those sound good off of this one as well in the mid-range and vocal department. Now onto a treble, and this is arguably the biggest deal breaker. It just doesn't really have a lot of treble. It's kind of dark leaning. It has enough treble to make female vocal just sound more correct or sound the way they should. After that, the roll off is just very noticeable. Like you don't get a lot of any sparkle or any form of brightness at all. Percussion hits comes across a bit dull. It's not the most fun. So these are definitely not for rock and metal genres. They're not really enjoyable for that. These are mainly for female vocals. It has an overall very relaxing, very slightly bit warm, relaxing signature, if you will. So not really for rock, metal, or EDMs or anything where you want like fun, energetic vibe. The treble in here just won't do that kind of job. Also, with the lack of treble, you also lose a lot of micro details. So if you're in for micro details, you want that little bit of air, that sparkle, that something to like tickle your brain. This doesn't do that. It's just an overall darker, heavier, more relaxing signature all around. And that's a little bit unfortunate. I wish these have just a bit more treble, a bit more air. I think that would have made this set like a high recommendation for a lot of people. But since it doesn't have that, you're gonna have to really like the relaxing presentation that these bring, or else not really gonna be enjoyable for you. Now, one of the good news about the treble is that it doesn't have any sibilants whatsoever. No sibilants, no fatiguing. I even put this thing through my treble murder playlist, which are filled with songs that are just highly fatiguing, are known to have a lot of sibilants, and all the songs play on these flawlessly. I did not feel any bit of sharpness, any bit of fatiguing whatsoever. So if you are severely sensitive to treble, like you don't really care about having too much treble at all, then these might appeal to you a lot more. But for me, I'm treble sensitive and I still wish it has more treble than this. So these rather dark, just keep that in mind. On to technical performance. Like I said before, the detail retrievals in these ones are not going to be the greatest. Micro details, forget about it. But macro details, separation between instruments, besides the mid bass, beside that little mid bass area, it does pretty well, like surprisingly well for a $21 IEM. And actually, because of how well the separation is, it makes the imaging on these quite nice as well. Like I can actually tell like where the instruments are in relation to each other, which is kind of really cool for $21 to be able to do that. Now, soundstage wise, it doesn't have any 3D soundstage, of course. The layering is pretty much non-existent here. It's gonna be a lot of 2D effect. I mean, you don't really expect a 3D wide soundstage with something like this at $21. But hey, imaging is good. Soundstage wise lives inside your head. Technical performance overall is good. Good for the price. Nothing to complain, but just that lack of micro details, that lack of brightness just might put some people off if that's what you're looking for in an IEM. So my final verdict for the Tanchjim Tanya also versus the BL03. Versus the BL03, the Blon 03 just has better technical overall, better details, about the same separation, I would say. Imaging is actually slightly bit better on the Tanya. I prefer the imaging on the Tanya over the Blon. But other than that, Blon 03 is just better in every other way in the technical department. And also the mid bass of the BL03 does not have that hump that can be offensive to some people. The bass control is generally also better. Bass texture is also better. The overall clarity is better on the BL03. Now, the one thing that the Tanya has over the BL03 is the vocals. The vocals just sound more correct off of these. Like I said again, female vocals or male vocals that live in a higher octave. Not so much Frank Sinatra or male vocals that live in a lower octave. I think the BL03 does those better, but if you listen to a lot of female vocals, the Tanya sounds better than the BL03. In the treble department, of course, BL03 beats the Tanya every day of the week. It just has more air, there's more detail, micro detail is better as well. It just has more sparkle in the right areas. These are just dark. So in conclusion, if you want the better pair of IEMs, you would just buy the Blon BL03. I think that's a no-brainer choice. Just go with that one. But if you already have a few IEMs in your collection and you want one that's relaxing, you don't have a super relaxing set yet, maybe to use when you're just relaxing on the couch or in bed or just anytime at all when you want to listen to something that's not aggressive, you just want to mellow out and maybe fall asleep, these are great. And these are actually one of my favorite right now in my collection for under $50, just because it fills that need, it fills that niche for me for when I just want to relax. I don't want anything aggressive. I don't want any treble to like play around and tickle my brain. I don't want anything like that. I just want to relax with a nice cup of tea, in bed, lay down and fall asleep. Or in general, I just want to listen to something that is comforting. These are great for that. Really, really great for that. Especially, like I said again, if you listen to a lot of female vocals. Not recommended if you listen to a lot of rock, metal, EDMs, or anything that requires more detail, more separation, anything that requires more speed, more texture. Those genres sadly don't do well on these so much. You would have to love a relaxing feeling for those music to like these. Female vocals, slower songs does a lot better on these. Like I said, Asian pop music, anime OSTs, those are great on these. Alright guys, that's it for the review of Tanchjim Tanya. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what you think of this one, if you've tried it before. Next one I am reviewing is gonna be the K-Bear Neon, or KB Ear Neon. I like to call them K-Bear. I might do a top 5 list in between this review and the K-Bear Neon, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and thank you again for getting me almost to 100 subscribers. Peace out.